So, hello and very good morning. And it's really, really, really wonderful to see you all here. I'd like to welcome all of you, SuSanA members, new and old ones, but we are definitely in a new building here at SEI. So for you who do not know who SEI, what SEI is, we are Global Environment Institute, and you are at the headquarters. We have 70 researchers working here, and there are additional more than 100 on 5 other centers in the world. And sanitation is one of our core concerns. So we are happy to host the 8th meeting here and to be able to organize it for you, and we are looking forward to a very productive day. It has always been a challenge. Every year say, oh, will we be able to organize it? We had a crisis meeting 2010. We are now 2014, and here we are, and everyone is coming, and we can host you still. And we hope to do that. And we look a little brighter on our future, so I'm sure we're going to have it for additional some years here. As long as you come, we will host you here. And we are also, from our perspective, we see sanitation in a very wide perspective. And I think the year since we last saw it has proven evidence. It's really very interesting and nice to see all the new the view on waste as a resource. We see it in research, we see it in application on the ground, and we saw it during World Water Week. And it's also very interesting to see the evidence that's coming up now linking malnutrition to lack of sanitation. So we have evidence of that, so we can make our case more clearly out. So these are good progress. Wastewater will be now, we will work towards the SDGs, and wastewater is recognized. So there's a recognition of wastewater, and that we need to reuse it and treat it. So that is really good. On the other hand, progress on sanitation is still halting. 2.5 billion people. So when we started here, 2007, it was 2.6. So we could probably do better. But it's only together that we can do it. And I think that's why it's very nice to have you all here, because we really all contribute here. And we should continue to do so and work what we think is the core of SuSanA. We have a vision, and we should continue to work towards that. And we will meet a lot of trends, but I learned in the Scaling Up seminar not too long ago that trends that we meet along the road, we have already met some since 2007, are not always destiny. We're very clear on where we are heading and what is our target and vision. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And now Thilo is going to give us an overview of the day's structure.
Thank you very much. I also, like Madeleine, want to welcome all of you here, and I want to welcome some of you not here, because I think we have the cameras going at the back of the room, and hence it's good to know that we have even more support for SuSanA, and I want to welcome all those watching at home via live stream. We also have a screen set up here on the side, and we can hopefully see active activity in terms of Twitter. So the hashtag is 18SuSanA, and you can see if you want people to Twitter, you need them to be online. So up here you can see the Wi-Fi passwords for people here to get in the room. And it would be nice if you're not only doing work emails, but if you are online, actually using it for the purposes that we would like to see you use it. We would also like to make you aware, in order for the people to be able to follow at home, we need to be a little bit disciplined in terms of you can't just raise your hand and begin to talk. You need to raise your hand, wait until you have the microphone. Please state your name and organization, and that way the people at home can hear, because only by the microphones can they actually follow what we are saying. Apart from that, I think everything else is sort of clear in terms of what we what we have in terms of house rules, yeah, your normal turn off your phone and all that sort of stuff. Now looking at the agenda, I really look forward to an exciting day. Everything I think is very practical, hands-on, getting things done. Before I come to today, I do want to quickly sort of look back upon yesterday, because the people at home weren't part of that yesterday, but I will sort of paraphrase a little bit what Arno said last night to us at the bar. He's sort of moving around in his seat, nervous now. No, I'll just paraphrase. And you can correct, but the people at home won't hear what you're correcting because you don't have a mic. I think he was right. He really captured it well, saying yesterday was a little bit historic. Yeah, I mean, we've looked at those that have followed SuSanA for many, many years. I think yesterday noticed that we were talking about the issues around sanitation at very many sort of different levels. Yeah, we had everything from talking about global monitoring and getting ourselves aligned with different monitoring initiatives, and we have for that the right people in the room with Graham Alabaster looking to work together with people in SuSanA. We talked about those shit flow diagrams in terms of an advocacy tool to get things moving, and I mean, we have the inventor of those working with us. We have everyone excited about them and trying to really get things moving. And we talked about community health clubs, so we were really talking about what's being done at a ground level, working with communities. So I think that energy, that sort of, and Arno is nodding, so there seemed to be some truth in sort of the recap I just gave. So I think we have a lot of things going for SuSanA and a lot to contribute to the issue. So today I think it also remains a very practical morning, and the whole day actually. We'll have Arne looking at some sort of strategic positioning of SuSanA, and then we'll have Catherine Cross from IWA. We'll have Hans Merton from ACVO. So we're speaking with some individuals who are on the one hand seeking to use SuSanA to leverage certain things that are ongoing. We've got leveraging expertise across networks. We're looking at sort of new tools with the wiki that we want the working groups to use. We'll be discussing how to have more outreach and get more discussions going via the discussion forum. And then we move into sort of the hands-on nitty-gritty working group meetings where hopefully we'll have individuals focused on certain topical areas really put their heads together to think what are the next steps we're taking to drive things forward. So I just think that sounds really, really exciting. We'll get the feedback from these working groups and hopefully all be sort of energized by the end of the day knowing what are our next activities and our next steps. So are there any questions concerning that agenda or what we want to do? I'm excited. I hope everyone is.
Thank you. And just to reiterate that, the lady from South Africa yesterday, she showed us and it's on the Nexus leaflet as well, where the three circles with health and water sanitation. I wish we could drop the water and just have the sanitation. And health and energy and health and food. And that section in the middle where they all overlap, that's us. That is really us. And it's up to us to step up, I think, to the plate and say we can play a role in every one of these as really proactive, as a really proactive group. So I completely agree with what Thilo and Arno were saying. So, so thank you. I'd just like to now ask Arno to come up to the podium. We have here Vishwanath. Are you not speaking as well today? You are, aren't you? Yeah. And I suggest that we allow the presentations to happen, and then if you want to ask questions at the end, and then I can move around with the mic.
Yeah, I'll break that rule immediately. If you allow me, moderator, because there are two traditions we have. One is that we make a round of everybody saying his name and affiliation. And I think if we don't make long statements, that would give us a feeling who's there already now. Some more people would drop in. And then as well as yesterday, regarding the trends and strategies, I had to be quite short. It was more the introduction. Maybe today, at least a little bit first feedback we could get from the group on how they react. Yes, so maybe we make that round.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
We need a mic that's then going along with the people who say their name.
Do you want the mic, or are you just happy to say your name and company?
No, then in all the rooms round the globe.
Yeah, of course. I'm David Crossweller. I'm David Crossweller from Wherever the Need in the UK.
If you like, you can use this. No, this works, but the mic which is going around.
Arno Rosmarin from SEI.
Jenna Senecal from the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences.
I'm Cecilia Lalander, also from the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences.
Peter Hawkins from Water and Sanitation Program, World Bank, based in Maputo.
Madeleine Fogde, SEI.
Thilo Panzerbieter, German Toilet Organization, German Wash Network.
Catherine Cross, International Water Association.
Daniel Diba, a student at KTH, Royal Institute of Technology.
Hi, Trevor Surridge, GIZ, and looking after SuSanA secretariat.
Rosalind Graham, independent, but I'm helping out today with the SuSanA meeting.
Hi, I'm Friederike Güttner, and I'm intern at GIZ.
Petra Kohler, EAVOX Anbeck, Switzerland.
Stefan Diener, also EAVOX Anbeck.
Sven Norén, I'm an organization called Friends of Kabondo. We're going to build some Ecosan toilet in Kenya.
Tuula Tuhkaren from University of Jyväskylä, previously Tampere Technical University.
Arno Koerver, Malteser International.
Hans Metton, ACFO.
Shino Saruta, International Finance Corporation, based in Washington, D.C.
Leonela Barreto from SECON and COAS in Switzerland.
Maren Horvath from Border Germany.
Stefan Reuter, Border Germany and German Wash Network.
Fritz Salian from ISAN, Uganda.
Blanca Sandoval from Altereco, Colombia.
Christophe Legelet from PSO, Programme sur ITO, from France.
Morning, Enno Schröder, working as freelance consultant for GIZ.
Rosanna Dell'Era from Accra, Italian NGO.
Good morning, Kim Anderson, SEI.
Linus Doggerskog, SEI.
Claudia Wendland, WECF, Women in Europe for a Common Future, and also German Wash Network.
Katja Neubauer, Water for People.
Erik Jolsson from People.
Vishwanath from the India Water Portal.
Lukas Ulrich from EAVOX Anbeck.
Darcy Spuler from SECON, Switzerland.
And Robert Gens, German Toilet Organization / German Wash Network.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. It's good to know who's in the room. I'd love to give the phone now around to all the living rooms around the globe. But maybe in future that will be possible as well. Okay. Yesterday I was concentrating more on the first lines on what is SuSanA. Who hasn't been there yesterday and has never been to a SuSanA meeting? Is there anybody? Okay. Yes, but okay. So we'll try to bring you into the picture, but I think this is not the majority today, as it often is in other meetings. So I'll just visit shortly the working group trends, repeat the slides we had on the discussions around management structures and content, on the strategy and try to get some more feedback. And I think this is setting the scene for today, for the working groups, and as well for the next few months. And that means I can skip all this. And here we go. We have a couple of working group meetings. I was telling that the overall perception is that it's actually working groups are getting more and more active and new topics are coming. The working group 1, I said as well yesterday, and I repeat that we are growing so far, and the technologies are changing so far, so that instead of having just a few people meeting face to face, now we have large groups of followers, of several hundred followers. That will be one topic which will be, I think, as well channeled into the discussions of the working group meeting during the day. Another thing is that the forum, and Arno will talk on the forum after some time, is getting more and more active, and that's another working something in a group and an activity. So actually, in working group 1, I see that all these things related to knowledge management and for SuSanA need to be reflected, and this is a difficult one. So I don't think that they are not doing a good job, that the smiley is not missing because there's nothing. It's good what is there, but the task is so vague and so diverse. So I think that it would be good if you could even address these topics and discuss them and come back, I think, to the whole group with your thoughts, because I think they're relevant for SuSanA as a whole. Finance and economics is one of the groups we nailed down in 2007 in the first thing. And then when we revisited what was there on the wall and said, now you only can say something if you will do it. That was one which was empty, but everybody said it's necessary. Since then we had different people like Gay Hutton doing fact sheet and other very knowledgeable and enthusiastic people contributing to the finance and economics group, but we don't have a true mechanism that somebody has a job and it's so close to the finance and economics group that it's easy to be done. And maybe again it's too diverse. There's a smiley. Why? Because I talked to not Guy Hutton but Guy Norman, who actually was for the AfricaZAN suggesting 2 expert works group on what's the finance scenario among the public sector, about the local government, about the private sector, about the contributions from the people. And he said that it's a topic they're doing at WhatsApp, and it's something where he would see the working group of SuSanA being a very good sounding board. So he'll do something and he'll bring it to the working group. So I think that's exactly what we need. That some activities are going on that an organization needs to do, wants to do, and sees an added value if it is done under the umbrella of a working group of SuSanA. So that makes me optimistic that after Guy Hutton, maybe now Guy Norman will bring more input, and that's already keeps working groups alive. Renewable energies, climate change, we had very positive feedback because Linda is doing this book on calorific content. We had Heinz-Peter Mang, who has all these Chinese examples, and we said, okay, I can do something. And we have the WACLIM 1 BMU project, which has actually the idea of climate neutral utilities. And there we have Catherine telling us how she might see how the working group could be of use. So I think that's as well something that will start, and that's very positive. Sanitation systems, technology options, hygiene and health. That's, and on one hand, it's a flagship, you may say, because EAWAC was ready to discuss the compendium with us, bringing the drafts to the group again and again and taking the feedback. And I think the compendium of EAWAC is maybe the publication for that topic. Now we have an e-compendium, and then it was to Axel Stenström, I think, who brought the topic of health to it. And I think now with the shit flow diagrams, we can do sort of a mapping that this is the system, this is the flow, and these are the exposure points, and we can map exposure points. So the feedback from Chris Zurbrück was that he sees potential that something can be started there soon, and let's look for it. But it's again a very huge topic, and yes, and one of the things where we in the discussion during the week and at the core group, where we were saying, is behavior change. We don't have a working group sanitation and behavior change. It's somewhere in there everywhere, but it's not very outspoken. CLTS and in many things it is. So actually the idea was that if behavior change would be something, you have the shit flow diagram, then you can map the exposure points, you have some health concerns, and then actually to mitigate the problem, you would need behavior change in these pockets. So there could be an idea that behavior change could be well placed in this working group to make the title then finally needing 2 lines. No? Howsoever, that's as well food for thought. If you're in your working group meetings, if you're thinking that what is where, what am I doing, what should be done, I think this is one of the topics we should sort of keep in mind and see where it might get a place. Food security, productive sanitation systems, as well sort of a flagship working group, which was one of the fastest, the most productive fact sheets, case studies, everything, and has done the job. So now they're saying we're more interested in wash and nutrition. And I think that's not a problem. It can sleep, get some rest for some time, and might be activated if need is for an organization or an individual who's saying that I want to do this, and actually it's exactly there. So if this happens, let us know. Cities, I just put the shit flow diagrams there, so something will happen there, that's very clear. Community, rural and schools, the publication came yesterday on the school case studies, and I think that will continue. Claudia, do we have a working group around that today? Yes, so that will be the process there. So it's, I think, very clear and easy what's going on there. Emergency and reconstruction situation. That happened during the week, Thilo, and I think we had a full house and very all the the organizations like you name them, Malteser, Red Cross, Médecins Sans Frontières, the Auswärtige Amt, USAID, and all this on different levels in South Sudan. So I think here really an energy is building up, and then that will happen. Sanitation as a business. We'll have a meeting here, and what I saw during the week, that's as well, we might get some really practical things there. One, is it an orphan or something, a child you don't find or you haven't heard for long, is operation and maintenance. I think it's Günther Langergraber, no? So I think that actually could be linked to fecal sludge management. Then operation and maintenance is very much in the focus, and maybe that would be the some thoughts to be spent how to give that working group its own right, and then talk to Günther how to do that. Groundwater protection has produced, with the help of the German Bundesanstalt für Geowissenschaften und Rohstoffe, with the German institution, a draft fact sheet, I think, which will be discussed today. And wash and nutrition is another one where Uschi Eid, who was so nice to come to us at the core group meeting last Sunday, said that UNSCAP will have a focus on nutrition, and where there were very active people, and that will as well deal with the topic of World Toilet Day. World Toilet Day 2015, the official topic on UN level or something like that, will be sanitation and nutrition, or water and nutrition, sanitation and nutrition. So that's a topic that from now until next November will be there. It's very good that we started that working group 2 years back, and I think there will be energy, and that might go beyond the working group as such, because it will be a bigger topic, so keep that in mind, and let's see. Yes, we were addressing different task forces. Yesterday Graham was talking on monitoring, and maybe that's let him continue to work and come to us. I think that's the easiest way to identify what will be a task force. But we be aware that topic of monitoring is a topic coming on, will be more important in the months to come. So if you think, I want to do that, I want to be active here, maybe you drop a mail to me or to Trevor and to say that this is why I need to work in that topic and I can contribute because that's on my table. So if there's a task force, I would be interested to bring this to the table. That would be the way to work. Nexus, Madeleine was saying that, and as well Jakob yesterday was saying that there are quite some work streams in SCI on Nexus, and that actually SCI could take that up to some extent. Our sister sector program in GIZ has a component on Nexus, so as well I think it should be possible to relate to GIZ here. And actually the decision was more or less made that we'll do something. And what that something is, I think, Madeleine, I'll ask you in a few days or weeks, and then we'll put it, and maybe we'll put it into the minutes, so you have time until the minutes are going on. And if some other people in the round are here and say that, yes, on my table there's the Nexus and sanitation, and that's my contribution to it, I think addressed to Madeleine for the time being, so that you're part of the process. Yes, and the sanitation ladder, I think, is on the next slide as well. Yes, here it is. And I answered already, yes, on a more general level, we had last year the question, do we need to merge working groups? Do we need new working groups? Do we need to rearrange working groups? And my position was, let us wait for a year. And I think the summary of this year and of this week is that actually it's quite good. So, and if you have a working group with 400 followers on the virtual world and so many documents in the website, and you divide it into who will separate the documents and who will separate the followers and so on. So I would say that let's go slightly slow. And if we have a new topic, let's maybe start with a task force. And if this task force is very vibrant and very active and comes back after a year so that we are so active, we need to be a working group, then let's say, okay, it's proven that you'll work, and so then let's discuss that and probably do that. There are two candidates, one is Nexus, one is monitoring, and the other one, which I haven't mentioned now, was human rights and the SDGs. Human rights is as well a new topic that came up 7 years ago. It was there in theory, but not as a topic in the discussion. Now it is a very strong topic in the discussion, and as well a rationale to why are we doing, how are we doing, what is our guideline. So it has come strongly. And another dimension with the SDGs is the long-term sustainability, which is something that we had when we did the definition of what is sustainable sanitation. We had many of these long-term sustainability things already there. So actually, and our idea, and that is every year when I was here together with Roland Schertenleib, we were suggesting to work on the sanitation ladder. What is it? What is a functional sanitation ladder? And since 7 years, it's a wishful dream. So I'm just repeating my wishful dream. Is there, if anybody managed to get on his table the task to work in a broad sense on sanitation ladders, and when are they useful and when are they misleading, that would be great. I would be very happy for that. As long as it is on nobody's table, I think we don't have simply the power and workforce to do it. But I see it as an ongoing open question which actually would fit nicely here. Last is behavior change. I addressed scaling up is the only one which as well 7 years ago we were happy if we could define sustainable sanitation. We were not dreaming of thinking in millions. Now I think a good set of projects is there and everybody says become big fast. So that's a topic in itself as well, more a general topic. I think I would stop here. The other slide is just a summary of this, and I would like to invite a few reactions on that. Is that capturing what is as well your feeling? Is there something dramatically missing? Is there something where you think, no, we shouldn't do that, this is leading us into the wrong direction? If there are a few thoughts, is there any comment, or you think That's it. Yes, Stefan.
Something to share from my side. In 2 weeks' time, we have the global IWA conference in Lisbon. And as some of you may know, that we have been awarded the IWA Development Solution Award 3 years back now. I think it's critical, maybe under the heading of scaling up or bridging to other local groups, that we influence the water industry mainstream sector. So that's why I look for ways how to get good solution, on-site, sustainable sanitation solution into the mainstream sector through professional working groups, both on German level and international level with IWA. Catherine's sitting here. So this is something I think we should consider. And anyhow, we would like to do that. And if there's anybody who would like to join, we're happy to do that. So getting standards, getting quality standards into the mainstream sector so that can be taken up by others. That was the point.
If I repeat it with my words, you want to make standards for good solutions, and with the standards, scaling up is easier.
Yeah.
Is that the strategy?
My understanding is that development banks see too much risk in order to invest now in existing solutions, because they don't have the standardized solution on the shelf, and they don't have the backing from the key professional groups like IWA or national professional bodies. So I think we need to go that way as well.
Can we have more comments on that topic? Is there anybody who would like to react or add on that? Peter? Maybe...
Okay. Stefan mentioned the word development banks. I work for one of them. And indeed, I think it's a very germane comment. We're really over the last couple of years, the work that WSP has been doing has been exactly that, trying to push out to the very risk-averse and conventional engineers, which, I mean, they have to be. You're dealing with $300-400 million. You don't want to spend that speculatively. And in fact, I've come to realize that it's the institution which is risk-averse. If you speak to individuals who've been doing these big sewage projects, they would like to do, on-site sanitation and things which are more appropriate for the poor, but they don't know how. And none of us know how. And I think SuSanA is exactly a very good platform where we can start to share the experiences and come up with. I mean, there are tried and tested solutions. We're not there yet. I think there is going to scale is still a problem. And I would sort of on another point say that going to scale, to my mind, is not an individual thread. It's something that needs to be in all of the work we are doing. We need to stop thinking about, 500 toilets. We need to think about cities, about provinces, which have decent sanitation.
Yes, but this is too important to just let it go. Because I think it's our concern from the first day, how to have more sustainable systems at large scale. So now, and it's true that our first take was around actually your thoughts. If we make a clear definition what has to be looked at, it's more difficult to make rubbish. So with the definition and with influencing the discourse, I think we have been quite successful. But still, if you say that the banks would like to do that, and if we as well would like to have that happening, and now maybe anybody who has another comment, I think this is too much one of our core topics to stop here. Arno, I don't know who. Very practical.
Yesterday we spoke a little bit about how to implement these kinds of concepts to reach out to communities, villages, groups of people. And I think the Africa Ahead people mentioned that it wasn't actually the toilet itself that was the objective of the social marketing, but the concept of health. And that's actually a state of understanding more than it is actually just getting a toilet installed somehow. That's a big difference. And so business development and market development is definitely at the core here. And it doesn't have to be a very expensive subsidized activity. I think that was the message yesterday. That's why I thought it was historic, because we had a tool, at least for the rural parts of the world, especially Africa.
Okay, but could the banks invest then in health clubs? I don't think that's what they usually do.
Okay, I know. Yes.
You cut us short.
I
Okay.
am because.
Okay, so then,
sorry,
Stefan, you are doing something around that. So, are you ready to be somehow maybe you think what should be in the minutes for that topic, and maybe if others are excited about it, yes. Last comment from.
Okay.
If others are getting excited about it. You have to be in all the living rooms.
Just for the minute,
the globe.
Stefan. We have been discussing this issue already some other SuSanA group meetings,
Yes,
and I think it's we have a strong power as a sounding board, and we have been doing this role very well, and it's just one keyword is SuSanA branding somehow. Has been mentioned.
Okay, Stefan, you think how we phrase it in the minutes? Everybody in the room and in the living rooms around the globe during the next 8 hours can as well talk to you and each others, and we see if something comes out there. Okay, last line here is regional nodes, and that's Vishwanath. That's another thing that we are so much on a global level with a library which is virtual somewhere, and how do we bring it on the ground? Some activities are going there, and one of them, Vishwanath, I think you'll talk a bit on that now. Yes? Thank you.
Good morning, Vishwanath.
Morning. Thank you. So it's not going to be death by PowerPoint, and thanks to the table for allowing me here. It's not the chair, obviously. I see you standing there. So very quick points. I really want to highlight the fact that, and I'm coming completely from an Indian perspective. My name is Vishwanath. I also advise the India Water Portal, the India Sanitation Portal. And I'm an advisor to a foundation called Argyam, which provides grants for drinking water and sanitation projects all across India. It's a small organization, but focused on drinking water and sanitation, and we've been around for about 8 years there. So our perspective from the foundation that I come from and from the India Water Portal has been that one of the key players in the 2.5 billion people who are actually open defecating, 600 million are in India. So that's about 25%. And like China hauled the world out of the poverty trap more or less on its own, I think India will have to be a major player in terms of the sanitation goals and the sustainable sanitation goals. 37 million of these open defecators are in cities out of the total 600 million people. And recent estimates have put the investment requirement for providing what is conventional sanitation sewerage at about $200 per person. $200 per person. That's the kind of estimates that the government has made. So these are tremendous investments that have to come into the sector, or at least are proposed. Very, very recently, we've had political backing for what the Prime Minister in his Independence Day speech from the Red Fort, very prominent speech, called for a Clean India campaign. And this Clean India campaign actually focused on school sanitation, urban, rural sanitation, toilets, especially for girls and women. And the targets set are very short. The ambition is to at least get school sanitation in place by 2018. So this is a sort of a political call right from the top of the government. Another major call has been to clean up our rivers, and especially the Ganges, the Ganga. The Clean Ganga campaign has been launched again and put politically on the firmament. The World Bank itself is committed to about $1 billion of investment in the overall Clean Ganga campaign. And one of the key factors in the Clean Ganga campaign is the urban sanitation and urban sewerage systems that need to come across close to 2,000 tons. So that's one place. And recently, in the theoretical field, Dean Spear's work on enteropathy, and which was discussed again, especially in nutrition, has come from the Indian context. And it's been very alarming that the short-stunted growth of children is explained both by enteropathy and not by nutrition. India has a very strong school nutrition campaign, a midday meal scheme where children are given meals, but now it looks like that's not enough. So sanitation seems to be the key, and this is again on the top of the radar. On the other hand, from the sustainable sanitation perspective, what seems to be less discussed is the fact that in India there are 130 million pit toilets and septic tanks. The recent census figure put that out there. 130 million single pit toilets mostly, some of them twin leach pit toilets, a technology developed long back, and septic tanks. So fecal sludge management is now again on top of the radar, with the WSP coming out with certain guidelines, and there's a group called the Center for Science and Environment which has also been working on guidelines for fecal sludge management. And it's likely that the next 120 million toilets that will be built in the rural areas will be single pit or twin leach pit. The fact remains that we'll deal with a technology which is pore flush, single pit or twin leach pit. And how do we make that sustainable would be a discussion which would be very relevant for the Indian context, at least in the rural scenario. So what have we been doing about it in terms of knowledge management? We've created the India Water Portal. This has been recognized by the National Knowledge Commission. So it's been recognized by the government, but it's run by the NGO itself, by our foundation, the India Water Portal. And it's now sort of the place to go if you want to figure out anything about India water. And that encompasses all forms of water. It's hydropower, irrigation, drinking water, sanitation, everything, groundwater. We've also created the India Sanitation Portal to bring more focus on sanitation as an issue. And this is in partnership with WaterAid. It's a portal which we support, but it's run by people from WaterAid. And there we see strong synergies to come with SuSanA, because SuSanA has this global knowledge base, the fact sheets, the working group, experiences, the ideas, which are global. So we want to deepen the conversation, take it down to the India Sanitation Portal. Especially, we have something called the Hindi Water Portal, because we found that conversations are not enough at local utility level and local community levels. So in the national language, one of the national languages, which is Hindi, we figured that the portal itself would be some idea. We were experimenting with it, and we found that the conversations there were radically different from the conversations in the India Water Portal sector. Here they tend to be theoretical, they tend to be on ideas, and the conversations are more about, are more at a higher intellectual plane, if I have to say. Whereas in the Hindi Water Portal, it was sort of the conversations were completely down to earth, and people were talking about immediate problems and immediate solutions on the ground. So it's a very different conversation there. So for us, the challenge is how do we take this global knowledge and put it down there and share and learn from communities and have dialogue there. So there are various groups, again, working in India, wherever the need is. One of the largest funders of the EcoSan toilets in India. They are the largest funders. David is here. There's the EcoSan Foundation. There's CDD, which has now got a BMGF grant, a Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation grant, which is doing an extraordinary work in sort of documenting the alternative technologies and what's being implemented on the ground in urban wastewater treatment, which is a fantastic knowledge base, and there's interest to put that knowledge in the public domain too, as part of the program, and Stefan will bear me out on that. So there are then the broader institutional groups like the WSP, UNICEF, who have been working on sanitation for a long, long time, different sectors. So how do we bring that knowledge hub in terms of sustainable sanitation, put it on and use the India Sanitation Portal or the regional node hub? That would be something that we would be very interested in. Finally, the one point that I have to make is that if we are going to target urban sanitation, we cannot wish away the urban utilities and urban local self-governments. And there's not enough urban utilities and urban local self-governments participating in this conversation around sustainable sanitation. Even in the India Sanitation Portal and the India Water Portal, we find that that's the missing link. But if we don't get them on board, and if we don't get the regulatory agencies which formulate the guidelines for implementation of wastewater, in India we have something called the CPHEO, the Central Public Health Engineering Organization, which actually formulates what technologies can be used on the ground. It approves or disapproves of it, and what they say then is the Bible. You cannot budge from it. So how do we bring these institutions also into the dialogue would be the challenge. So as we work along with, we were discussing with Arne and Trevor, the idea is that could we develop a small sort of base paper which would say how do we create regional networks. There's a strong interest from our foundation to support the network financially for 3 to 5 years. We could explore that and see that the finance part of it is taken away. We have the experience and the expertise to run portals, so we have the knowledge base. So we have to see how the SuSanA brand and the SuSanA experience and ideas then come along to the regional level and especially the Indian context. So that's what I wanted to share and get some ideas as things go along. Thanks, David.
Thank you. That was very interesting. Any questions there? Yes.
Yes, okay, please. First.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Vishwanath. I was just wondering, is reuse an issue being discussed also within your portals? Can you see a certain element of reuse per se in agriculture or any other field?
One of the groups which has been working on reuse of wastewater has been IWMI. They have some experience on it, and they have a program which is running on reuse. Now, informally, reuse is happening. But again, it doesn't fit into the conventional paradigm of wastewater management so far. So energy generation is the other thing which is not fitting into the conventional paradigm. But things are changing in the Indian context because water is getting scarce. The opportunity cost or the price for water is really high now. So there's a lot of thinking around reuse and energy generation. So this is the right platform and the right time to bring that dialogue much more deeper and into the open.
Just using the opportunity to add to what you're saying, the CPHEEO very much refer to national standard. If you don't have certain slabs or parts which you would like to include into your construction approved by CPHEEO, it will never go into the national catalog of items which can go out for tender.
Yeah.
So you always stay in that niche, donor funded, and not really owned and taken up by the national program. So it is in this sense that I also was pledging sounding board is good, but not enough. We need national ownership in the countries. And via IWA, for example, it's a good possibility to go there. I absolutely support that idea of going decentralized and having local SuSanA nodes doing and helping to bridge the international and to the local level so that uptake can become a reality.
Yeah. Just to add a point, Stefan, the IWA itself is decentralized and has what is called the IWWA in India, and that's a professional body which has strong recommendatory power. So even with IWA, you would have to work with regional networks to push the broader structural agenda.
And just to add to your question, in Tamil Nadu, we work with the Tamil Nadu Organic Farmers Association because all of our UDDTs, of course, have compost and urine, which is available for growth, for agricultural use, and we have increasing success. So definitely in Tamil Nadu.
Yes, to put this in the broader picture, I think we'll do something at the secretariat to seriously develop a sort of a work plan or a project plan which can be shared with you and which can be shared with the core group and can then hopefully start going. And we had the feedback from East European, Claudia was mentioning it, that there's as well a potential to have a regional chapter, definitely smaller, maybe just a blog or a forum thread and some literature brought together, and we had one for Vietnam for the FSM3. So I think that's definitely something we'll take up from the Secretariat. If you have another idea for a note, please consider, we'll ask you, can you do it?
Madeleine.
And we have a rich experience in how to run and prepare notes that Madeleine and the Ecosan REST program has worked on for years. So that's as well something that we'll have in the background and that we'll keep in mind when we do something new. Yes, I think now I've provoked Madeleine to say something.
Yeah, we have a wide range of experiences with knowledge nodes, and I can tell you that they still exist because most of them were hosted in organizations that are working with this. It's part of their knowledge management, so they are out there. But there's absolutely one superb and very interesting one in Bolivia, And they are, so that would be from the Spanish side, which could be very rich. And they are doing scaling up, actually, and working with the platform, etc. And they are happy to do so. So they were very, very happy to connect.
Great. That would mean that one exercise we would do in this progress is to not only learn what were your experiences 3 years ago, but as well learn what happened to them. And as well try to sort of summarize that as a background information for what we're planning to do. Great. I think.
Any other questions?
Yeah, thanks, Arne, for mentioning it. So I would propose really indeed a note also for Eastern Europe, Caucasus, and Central Asia, or even 3, one for Eastern Europe, one for the Caucasus, and one for Central Asia, because the situation is also different, and because there's a lot of know-how there. And just commenting on the standard discussion we just had earlier, I think it is really good to have a standard, especially for these decentralized, sustainable solutions and so on. But what is really the challenge for SuSanA is that it is then adapted to India or really adapted to a region, to a climate, and then it's really difficult to adapt it to other countries. So if we talk now, for example, for continental climate, so the standard should be quite different. And that is also, of course, what the national decision makers are going to say, who have to give the approval, that it has always to be adapted to national level. So that has always to be taken in mind. And that will be the challenge, I think, with this group on working on standards.
Okay, if you comment on standards, I'll do as well. The Indian sanitation program, which has worked the last 4 years and is in the umbrella of several other urban programs of GIZ in India, has helped to for the next version of the CPE standards on solid waste. So that GIZ was used as a sounding board and an input. So for the next phase of the Indian sanitation program to revise or amend to the CPA on sanitation, that's as well on the things that could be done, and we could sort of on that level listen what they are planning to do. We cannot tell them work a year for us or something, but we can try to draw that in, and as well as the GIZ program has to make city sanitation plans for 30 cities. They are in contact with this, exactly the gap, the utilities and the government.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much to Arne and Vishwanath. That's really interesting. From a personal level, we get a lot of our money from businesses, and we've got businesses investing in what we're doing in India at the moment, and they keep saying to us about standards all the time, because they work in a completely different field, and it's really hard doing what we've done for the last X number of years, and these guys coming in saying standards, 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 and it's a really hard lesson we're having to learn. So. I'd now like to introduce Catherine Cross of IWA, and I'm going to sit down for this one because I have very little knowledge of what she's going to be talking about, so I will be as interested as you. Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to thank SuSanA and especially Trevor for giving me this opportunity for talking about this particular project and taking the opportunity as well to see what linkages there can be with SuSanA. So just to begin with, I'm Catherine Cross with the IWA. My background is not sanitation, so it's great to be in this meeting to learn more. And I wanted to talk about a project that we're doing with GIZ called Water and Wastewater Companies for Climate Mitigation. The project is funded by the German Federal Ministry for the Environment, BMUB, as part of the International Climate Initiative. And the overall objective of the project is to introduce greenhouse gas reducing technologies in order to reduce the carbon footprint in both water and wastewater companies. The project is over 5 years, and it's 5 million euros for all countries for advisory services. So we're not doing actual implementation of technologies and processes, but advising what are the best ways forward. And the project is in Mexico, Peru, and Thailand. So just to begin with, so we're all on the same page, we're looking at mitigation as efforts to reduce or prevent emissions of greenhouse gases which includes carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide into the atmosphere. So there's, as you're probably quite aware, there's several ways that this can be done within the boundaries of the utility. So, for example, looking at requiring less energy for the same services, so looking at reducing water losses, using energy-efficient pumps, probably more in relation to the sanitation sector, looking at producing and using renewable energy. What is the potential for producing biogas from wastewater? Also looking at the wastewater side, reducing methane emissions from treatment tanks and sludge, and recovering nutrients from wastewater instead of producing fertilizer. So the project is looking at the urban water cycle and greenhouse gas emissions across it. And this diagram just shows you the systems that we're looking at, which includes both water and wastewater. And we're going through a process of, in the pilot utilities that we have in Mexico, Peru, and Thailand, identifying what are the areas where the carbon footprint can be reduced. So by extension, the energy emissions and the greenhouse gas production. So specifically in wastewater treatment, we're looking at methane from wastewater treatment and sludge, nitrous oxide from wastewater treatment, carbon dioxide from wastewater treatment, and carbon dioxide from energy use and fuel for transportation. As well as, well, we probably won't go into this so much, which is the greenhouse gas emissions in the construction phase, but that's something to consider. And the benefits that is for the water sector and wastewater sectors to reduce greenhouse gas emissions is the reduced operational costs, because often the cost comes from energy. And then this means that they have less impact of energy price fluctuations if they're not reliant on as much energy, or if they're reusing the energy that they're producing from biogas, more efficient use of water resources, and the overall goal of contributing to the country's climate mitigation goals. So just very quickly, the way the project is structured, just for your information, is that we have 3 outcomes. The overall goal, as I said, is mitigating greenhouse gas in the water and wastewater sector. So the first outcome is pilot measures. So IWA and GIZ are looking at advising and training on introducing different technologies, improving operation and maintenance, looking at the economic viability of technologies, and also how to implement greenhouse gas monitoring. Now, as I said, this is just advisory services, so how is the money going to be provided in order for technologies and processes to be implemented? Well, this is where GIZ comes in, and they're working with the different political partners that we have in each country to identify potential funding, because often funding does exist through various, for example, development banks, but also initiatives within countries. And then finally, we have an outcome on multiplication. So this is also where we can work with SuSanA, which is disseminating the learning from the project, but also learning from other networks through operators partnerships, national regional associations, and internet-based knowledge platforms. So just right now, we have, as I said, we're working in Mexico, Peru, and Thailand. We have a political partner in each of the countries, and we're in the process of identifying specific utilities that we're going to work with. But BMUB has emphasized that we need to scale up and make sure that we, any methodology that is developed is also provided to other utilities and potentially tested there. So we're also working with different associations, national associations or regional water and sanitation associations in each of the countries or regions. So now I want to get to the main part. I just wanted to give a brief overview of this project. So within the project, we have an expert group. And the idea here was to tap into experts around the world through networks such as IWA and also other networks such as SuSanA, but also AgroWaterpedia, and pull these together to provide guidance on how climate mitigation technologies and processes can be implemented. We're just at the very beginning of developing this expert group, so we thought this was a good time to present it to the SuSanA network and see, get any feedback from you and see what the interest would be. So we'd have, our ideas, we'd have different groups within the expert group, potentially ones that are looking at water loss or direct greenhouse gas emissions, resource recovery, benchmarking, and pumping efficiency. So this is our idea of how our expert group is going to be structured. We want to work with existing networks such as SuSanA, and I also mentioned IWA specialist groups. And then we have a sort of inner expert group that would provide advisory services, so people that are available for remote support. This could overlap with, for example, the forums that SuSanA hosts. And we also have, we want to have people available for on-site visits. And this would require terms of reference. We'd obviously have to go through a screening process to select the most appropriate experts, and then look at pairing national and international experts to provide the on-site advisory support to the utilities for this particular project. Another idea we have is actually linking to the discussion that was around guidelines, is potentially developing an IWA task force, but it doesn't have to be IWA task force. It could be a task force in SuSanA, for example, to develop guidelines for energy efficiency and mitigation of greenhouse gas emissions. So this takes the learning from the project, but also from other initiatives, and bring them together into guidelines. We have going through a selection process to bring together this expert group. We want it to be quite open, but obviously for the on-site support, we want to be able to bring the best experts together. These are the types of advisory service that we see that would be a bit more remote. So we're undertaking a baseline study and an option study to determine what processes and technologies should be applied in the utilities where we're going to be working. And so that's one area where we could tap into different experts to get that feedback on these studies. We also want to develop training modules that would use information from the expert groups and work with these experts to determine how to apply them and the best way to potentially scale them up to other areas. And then I also mentioned these guidelines that we're thinking that would be developed as well. The idea of the on-site support to the utilities is that we have budgeted for each country to have a number of experts visits every year. This could be more because obviously there are national experts that can support utilities in Mexico, Peru, and Thailand. And then these experts would be selected by the GIZ staff, depending on what the needs are. They would have terms of reference, and they would be asked to interact with the utility and provide the information, and also do follow-up after the visit. So what is the link with SuSanA? Well, I've touched on this very quickly when I was presenting the overall project and the expert group. But just in my discussions with Trevor, we'd like to tap into the SuSanA network first to identify networks, and I think we've put up a notice on the forum, and we've had some good feedback. We've also started to think about collaborating with working groups. So, for example, the Renewable Energies and Climate Change Working Group. I think after this presentation, we'll have some discussions later on of how that could work to support the project. But as I said, also perhaps develop these guidelines. And then we see the SuSanA Forum as an excellent way to engage. So we could have potentially dedicated discussions on the specific project, but we also see it as an opportunity to bring in the pilot utilities or other utilities in the countries in Mexico, Peru, and Thailand to join the network as a source of information. So that's just a brief overview of the project and how we'd like to link with SuSanA. I can provide this presentation afterwards, so if you want more information. Lisa Oberkircher is the contact at GIZ, and I'm actually moving on from this project, so my colleague Corinne Tronsdorf is going to be the main contact. But I'm going to be in Thailand, so I'm also available for contact there. Thanks.
Thank you. I think that's a really interesting area, and I'm sure there's someone here with a better memory, but did UNICEF do some work on this about 5 or 6 years ago, and the type of toilets and how it reduced methane emissions depending on what toilet was being built? I don't know if anybody remembers that. I recall that. I have some figures.
Somebody has to help me, but I think the 3 years back, Stockholm Water Prize laureate compared a utility who was using biogas production with a conventional utility. He was a biogas expert from the US, but it's easy to find. McCarthy?
Questions?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. My question would be, or my understanding is, the need for this kind of work addresses more the northern countries, because that's where existing systems are and where they consume a lot of energy. If 90% of people in Africa don't have access to any kind of these, like wastewater treatment, I wonder how this program is geared, whether it's looking for solutions or technology for the new to be designed infrastructure, and then coming up with solutions which are business unusual, or whether it's really addressing existing infrastructure only.
I can answer that. So yeah, that's a good point. We've actually had discussions about that in IWA, because we see it as, it would be important for looking at systems that haven't been built. How could you make them more energy efficient or provide energy? I mean, the project is funded by BMUB, and it's targeted to middle-income countries. So that's why we're working in Mexico, Peru, and Thailand. And for this specific project, the utilities that we will concentrate on are the ones that exist. However, I do get your point about looking at utilities that will be built or utilities in developing countries. I had a brief conversation with someone from Nairobi Water who's looking at how to improve energy efficiency in their utility, or how to become energy independent, because they can't always rely on the supply of energy in the city. So this is something that we need to keep in mind, and we want to bring up in the project and push forward.
Yes, regarding the knowledge management, there's the Climate Foundation that has presented in Delhi in the RTTC a container like something which transforms fecal sludge into biochar, and if this biochar is used as soil conditioner, you have a carbon dioxide sink, so it's staying there. Mm-hmm. So I think at least in the knowledge management that could be of interest, and it's tested now, I think, in Senegal.
Last up. Okay, Arno and then Vishwanath.
Thank you, Caroline. I'm interested in, for example, what you mean by pilot utility activity. Thinking about Mexico City, it's 25 million people. It's probably the biggest experiment in public health. High exposure to parasites, very high percentage in diarrhea cases, etc. So one of the alternatives to that kind of highly dysfunctional centralized system is to maybe decentralize and put in smaller units that can actually be managed better and to produce treated water that can be reused in agriculture because of the high reuse interest there. So I was just wondering if that might be something relevant for this project. Yeah,
in terms of the pilot utilities, we came up with some criteria, and we actually had a process of selecting the utilities, which has had varied degrees of success. So we've had to go back and actually talk to the governments in more detail and identify, where would they see this project being implemented. And yes, the point on decentralization, I mean, from the IWA perspective, we've brought that up, and that could be a suggested way forward. If it doesn't happen in this project, at least we can use this project as an opportunity to talk about it and promote that as an option.
I just had a quick point to make, again, in sort of reinforcing the point I was earlier stressing. In India, in the city of Chennai, for example, there are 4 wastewater treatment plants which are actually generating biogas, and they're treating, I can see here, about 264 million liters per day of wastewater is being used to generate biogas. So, and all 4 are running successfully for the last 2 years. But we've also had failure stories from my city in Bangalore, where, again, 4 biogas systems failed to work. So I was just, again, wondering, how do we bring this knowledge out into the public domain where it can be shared in the SuSanA platform? Which brings the deeper point about what SuSanA believes is decentralized wastewater treatment. We are faced with the fact that there will be conventional wastewater treatment plants. Is optimizing them, making them more energy efficient, recovering nutrients, recovering water, acceptable as sustainable sanitation? And if so, can we then broadcast that also on the SuSanA website and on the platform? I think that would be a deeper question for us to answer.
Okay. Anna, you want to answer that?
Maybe you can compare what you're doing and what you're not doing. Yesterday, Jakob Granit said that if the whole world would do fecal sludge management, how much would it reduce, or better sanitation, how much would it reduce greenhouse gas emissions? And then exactly it would be that what the target of the project is compared to a more general global approach of greenhouse gas emissions compared to sanitation.
I mean, I agree with what you said. It's basically
Okay,
that.
I think we have to really wrap it up there. But thank you very much, Catherine. That was really interesting. And obviously, there are people very interested in what you had to say. Well, next it's Trevor Sarrage's turn. Who's going to give us an overview and demonstration of a new website?
Yeah, thanks. So just give me a second. I have to pop this volume. So, welcome. Great to see all of you here. It's I always enjoy SuSanA meetings because I get to put faces to all the names that I email. So awesome and welcome from my side. So yeah, we're finally there. I won't bore you with the details, but it took a lot of time and a lot of effort, and we finally have a new website. So I'm really happy. That we can proudly present our new website. It's been online since middle August, so thank you. I had technical advice prior to this presentation from Hans from Akvo, who said to me, Trevor, I've done a few of these. Don't skip between PowerPoint presentations and live internet. Things sometimes go wrong. So it is live. You can go and see it all there. But I'm just going to stick to a PowerPoint presentation. Also in efforts of time as well. So that's the front page. The front page does rotate, and what everyone who's landed there. I mean, there's still nothing's in stone. We're still working hard to optimize. When you logged in as a SuSanA user, you will see that there is on this screenshot. So it'll be on the left hand side. There is a feedback mechanism. You can't see it here in the slide shot. But the feedback mechanism allows you then, when you find stuff broken, to report it so you can fix it. What we did, which is, I suppose, a little bit different, is we didn't take the exact same menu structure on the new site. So all the content is, well, practically all the content. We still got a few tiny content pockets that we still need to transfer, but practically 95% of the content that was on the old website is there. It's just structured a little bit differently from a menu perspective. We sort of grouped things together. Because what we discovered, which is quite interesting, when I have an information systems background, so what you discovered, I saw a bit of theory and practice. When you have a platform that has grown organically, like SuSanA has, where you start off with a small website like we did in 2008, and then added a bit, and added a bit more, and added a bit more, and added a bit more. When you then try and relaunch it, you realize, goodness gracious me, there are so many puzzle pieces here, and I need to somehow logically change this around a little bit so it fits better together. So the power users who are used to the old website, the stuff is there. You just we'll have to learn together to find it all again. We've got on the front page, we've got a couple of teasers coming in that then takes you off to the relevant pages, some upcoming events, recent posts, etc., and publications on the bottom. So basically, why did we bother? Why did we bother doing this? One, we were still working on, from a technical perspective, in a very old content management system. That was great, but you know, how many times do we renew our laptops? Probably every 3, 4, 5 years in organizations, and we were working with like a 9-year-old content management system, which they're stopping supporting. So it was like, oh goodness, we don't have any more support. We better update. So we updated. The nice things are we've got a lot of functionality behind the scenes, and that will come out in the weeks to come and months to come. We'll bring that forward. We've got a design which is adaptive, so we can cater more going forwards to mobile technology and viewing it on tablets, etc., etc. And also we have embarked on basically trying to harness user-generated content, so that I don't have to get stuff from you and put it all up by myself sitting in the secretariat, because there's a huge wealth of knowledge out there. So we tried to get it going in such a way that we can get folks to really put in content. The forum's a great example of that. And then one of the big things is we had a call that there just wasn't enough functionality around the partner pages. I mean, so we have a huge list of partners, 231 of them, but not all of them are active, and for some of them, they want to engage much more. I mean, they're the very big partners, which obviously have their own knowledge management systems and their own IT crew and own communication crew, and for them, they may not want to put a whole profile up or all their projects listed on the SuSanA website. But then there are smaller partners where they say, you know, it would be absolutely great. I'm a SuSanA member. It would be absolutely great if I, could upload a couple projects. If I could say, hey, you know what, I've only got 5, 6 news items a year. I've got a job, 1 vacancy or 2 vacancies a year. It'd be great if I could put it on my profile and people could find it. So that's some new partner feature functionality, which I'll show you real quick in a moment, that we have now the ability to do. And so going forwards, partner organizations will hear a little bit more about that from us. Enno and I and a few others have to work hard about how we're going to communicate this so we don't bombard you with emails. And then, of course, I won't go into this in depth. We have a collaboration with Akvo. Hans is going to follow me, and he'll tell you about our wiki integration and some cool ideas we have there. So another motivation to relaunch was really to keep up with trends from an online perspective. We want to be the biggest, best sustainable sanitation portal in the world, and so we need the IT to support that. We invite everyone. We always have our doors open and invite everyone to come and use the platform. So you need to move with the times, and your functionality needs to move forward. that might be me. Sorry. So that just lists a few things that we really, from an user perspective, we really are embarking on trying to get this website user friendly, and like totally. So when there's suggestions on how to improve it, we take them on board and we try our best to make them happen. So as I said, just a few images to some of those bullet points, adaptive design, so we can work around on tablets and mobiles, and the website displays correctly on all of them. I've said a little bit about this. So crowdsourcing, different people understand crowdsourcing in a different way. There is a wisdom in the crowd, but how do you can, if you're not careful, you can open the door to an absolute information explosion that just bombards you. And so on the new website or platform, we've actually embarked on trying to put in mechanisms so that we can crowdsource information nicely without getting absolutely bombarded, and then it actually then being expressed there in a useful manner. So this is just a quick insight into maybe a little bit what I said about the partner functionality. We'll still be, as I said, sharing how we're going to do this and how partners can engage in this. But basically, a partner can, in the very near future, will be able to upload their own events, will be able to load their own news, their own jobs on their profile if they want to. And there I said, look here, guys, you have to take a very practical approach to this engagement with the partner organizations, because there's 231 and not all of them are going to be interested to do everything. So we provide the functionality and say, bare minimum is what we have at the moment. Contact details, a contact for the partner organization, and then, of course, a description of what they do. Bare minimum. So that every partner organization will have that. And those that want to engage to take it another level and say, well, we really want to upload all this information, awesome, great, the functionality is there now. And if they want to take it even a level deeper and say, you know what, we actually have a whole lot of projects ongoing in country X, there's ability to also upload short summaries of project reports or a quick overview with a picture linking to where there's more information. Because ultimately what you want to have is you want people to land on the website. There doesn't have to be everything there, but I want them to find where it is. So land there, and if the information is sitting on another website, on another portal, at least if they land there and can find it, aha, that's where I need to go, that's what I'm looking for. Awesome. And that ties in with our whole idea about tapping into regional knowledge hubs, like Vishwanath spoke to a bit earlier. So yeah, the library's there. So you see, with the library, there all the stuff is still going to be coming through the secretariat, because the library you have to have your sort of quality check there. So it's not that we just make sure that no nonsense gets up into the library. Whereas on the partner page, it's that partner organization's logo staring the person in the face. So if they upload nonsense on their partner page, it's going to hurt them more than it's going to hurt us, and we will, there will be a feedback mechanism to catch that if that happens. This I'm not going to go into detail. This is what we will. This is just a screenshot to show you that there's a whole another. This is obviously GIZ because that's the partner organization that I upload stuff for when I'm wearing my GIZ hat and not my secretariat hat. And so there's a whole nother community panel which is behind this website, which then we're going to have to put a couple tutorials together and get all the bugs out and make sure it gets as easy as possible for folks then to actually upload all their stuff on their profiles. And yeah, so partners, get ready. All those out there, get ready. We'll be in contact once we've got a low effort, lean and mean workflow to make this happen, and we'll be letting you know how to do it, and then setting up facilities so that you can engage when it makes sense. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Trevor. And now it's Hans Merton from ACLO. Questions when Hans is in.
No, would you put it in here? You have it when you shrink, right? Sure. Send that to you. It's on here. You put it in here. No, you did.
Dorothy's got a question.
Just a practical question. When then, as a partner, I integrate events and stuff like that, it appears in the general SuSanA events? Or is it on the partner page? I didn't get that.
Thank you. Very good question. Yes, so that's another functionality which we have. Our IT guys call it Regional Creator, which is quite cool, because then when every single partner posts their stuff in the jobs section, it appears both on their partner page and then also on the jobs page.
Same for events and news.
Events, jobs, everything. So we can basically create pages very quickly from all over without having to duplicate content.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tula from a university, and I have a group of 100 students. So you told that this is free for the users. Do you mean also that all my students in the Safe and Sustainable Sanitation course could go and enter and use all this material as a learning material in that course?
Yeah, most certainly. I mean, it's an open source resource. Everyone's welcome, and students, some students have engaged quite immensely using through the forum, where they said this is what we're looking at, and they're really when students engage on the forum, they need to not just write one question. I want my homework done by Wednesday. They need to really add, and there have been good discussions there, and I think a lot of students have benefited from the platform.
And also, I think that they would love to submit some of those most brilliant assignments also to be visible.
Yeah, and the SuSanA forum allows exactly that, where you can set up a quick login, free and easy, and then post stuff like that. So now I'll hand over to Hans.
Thanks. Well, thanks for getting the opportunity to share some of the homework. As Trevor already introduced, it's not poured into concrete, so we're just at the beginning. And well, up to me, I guess the cool ideas that Trevor referred to show a few of them to you. For those who are not familiar with ACFO, just a very, very short introduction. In fact, ACFO was born 7 years ago here in Stockholm during Stockholm Water Week. So we exist now for 7 years. So we sort of just passed the startup phase. We're now up to 60 people worldwide, so we've been really growing really, really fast. And ACFO is a foundation, as you can see. We're developing web and mobile applications. It's all open source software, and basically all the information and data that we gather using our tools is open. So it's open data, so anything that we produce can be used by anybody and can be found online, which we feel is very important. Yesterday, evidence-based advocacy came to the table. We believe that having access online to data and information could really play an important role into that. We run our software as a service, and basically the tools that we use are scalable to any sector. And not for profit. We're a foundation, and not for loss either, but we call ourselves a social enterprise, but we're a foundation. Some of our key partners, I think they're all familiar to you, and we're just at the starting point of teaming up with SuSanA. And with the ambition that SuSanA has, we believe this is we could really, really contribute hopefully something to SuSanA and vice versa. So ACFO built web and mobile tools. We feel that the access and having actual reliable data and information in the end will contribute to more transparency, in the end will contribute to more upward and downward accountability, and will contribute to better programming. If you really know what is happening in the field, then you're able to outline your program much better. You can do that using reporting your data in the IATI format, the IATI standard. For your information, from 2016 onwards, the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs forces everybody who is involved in programs funded by the Dutch government to report in the IATI standard. So besides your report, you have to send an XML file based upon the indicators that are part in the standard described in IATI. From 2016 onwards, it's electronic report sending to the ministry, and that's mandatory. It's either bringing your projects online, it's about a mobile data collection using your smartphone, and I think the most important one for today is Akvopedia, our water and sanitation wiki. So when we got in touch with the secretariat, a number of questions came to the table. How to strengthen capturing knowledge of a discussion, the discussion fora, the working groups, partner organizations, and individuals in an easy and accessible way. This is part of the picture. Naturally, there's already a lot of work done. So this is not the wiki in itself will not provide the unique solution. It's part of the puzzle that we believe could contribute highly to the objectives of SuSanA. It's a one-stop over shop on sanitation for the entire sector and the stakeholders within SuSanA. And the new platform, as already Trevor showed, allows users to very quickly navigate the content and find context. So it will not only support exchanging content, it will also support networking. And I think those two are really, really vital in terms of knowledge management. And hopefully it'll lead to less duplication, more efficiency, better coordination. So the objectives of joining forces is to support you in the knowledge development and knowledge sharing, and not only within the network, but also outside the network that all the individual partners represent. So it's outside in. It's supporting the members in their daily business. So we're not pushing a tool towards you. As I think Trevor already mentioned, we're sort of trying to offer the basics, and we're flexible and try to develop something that aligns well with your daily practice. So it's not poured into concrete. In the discussions, we came to sort of terms of reference. We felt that part of the puzzle could be using a wiki format, because a wiki format is something that allows visitors to get a very, very quickly overview of a topic. It's an introduction, it's compact, it's easy to read, it's one page, and it's open, online available. And for those who are interested to dive deeper into the background information, there are page links, which allows you to go deeper. But it gives you a really quick introduction. In reality, all the people that are visiting at this moment Akvopedia, but probably the same will apply to MediaWiki or Wikipedia, the average time that people spend on a page is between 40 and 70 seconds. So within a minute, you have to capture the interest of somebody who's visiting your page. And from that moment on, some people stop, and the other one will dive more into what you have to offer. We are talking about integration with a new SuSanA platform. This is an IT term. I don't have an IT background, but it's called web syndication. So what we developed is that what is published on Akvopedia is also visible live on the SuSanA platform. That's called web syndication. You're publishing the content live at different platforms at the same time. So that means if you change something in the source, it's automatically also changed within the platform. There is no alignment between different versions. It's live, visible at two different platforms at the same time. And that not only applies to the SuSanA platform, but basically we can do that to any partner's platform. So the source material from Akvopedia can be published on your website relatively easy. And no Akvo look and feel. It's got the look and feel of your own website. So if you contribute to new article pages or publications or whatever, you publish them, you can show them in a wiki embedded in your own website. And I'll show you how that works. The terms of reference easily information feed in. So the trouble with Wikipedia is that out of 10,000 visits, only one person contributes. Because if you want to work with the editor within Wikipedia, you need to learn coding. And nobody will do that. It's it's complicated. It's not easy to do. So what we developed is a very simple editor.
Hans, 3 minutes.
Okay, very simple editor, no coding. Important to align with the working group structure and to show some and to be able to produce something on the background. So what we provided is a secure workspace where people could play around and develop articles without being published online. So it's a secure environment. We came to Akvopedia. It's our current wiki on WASH. We have about 200,000 visits a year and resulting in 350,000 page views. So the combination, we can really contribute to exposure. These numbers are growing relatively quickly. So we have access to a lot of people visiting. This is an example of the current structure of Akvopedia. It's structured around portals, water portal, sanitation portal, finance, sustainability. So it's a portal structure focusing on a specific topic. What you here see is the sanitation portal embedded within the SuSanA platform. And what you see here is that the content from the center is coming from Akvopedia. This is the sanitation portal as an example embedded within the SuSanA platform. But the content is coming from Akvopedia. Basically what we took away is the look and feel around it and published the content on the platform. We've done the same for a fact sheet for Working Group 1. We transformed the 10-pager, 11-pager from Working Group 1 on capacity development into a wiki page, and we exported that wiki page to the Working Group 1 environment space on the new website. But the Working Group page is coming from Akvopedia. It's also published online within Akvopedia. So you recognize the headers, but in a slightly different format. So you don't recognize on the platform anymore, it's coming from the original source. But the content is 100% the same. We developed a sandbox. This is the, let's say, the secure development platform. And what we built is for each individual working group, a number of workspaces. You can see that on the left-hand side. If you're logged in with your SuSanA credentials, you're also able to access the sandbox with the same credentials. So we made it relatively easy for you. Each working group has their own working spaces. We provided a number of tutorial videos which will show you how to use the editor and how to build a page. So, and we can deliver support. Here an example of Working Group 1 on capacity development. And in green, they're all individual pages that are still empty, can be filled in the future. And you see the individual article page at the bottom in green. That's the page that is already published. The sandbox editor, this is a sort of, you could describe it as Word. It's the way Word works with bullets and an input table. So you don't need to learn to code. You can simply sit down as if you were drafting a page and then publish it online. So, closing down. How are we trying to support you in the future? Simple login, a simple editor with tutorial videos, online support if necessary. We can help you out in getting your material online in a wiki format. And naturally, we will have to structure accordingly your working group structure, how to publish things. Next steps, I think this afternoon is perhaps the first one. Discussion with individual working groups to get some ideas and plans on the future, how to align things. The wiki integration will be continued. We have to do something with Flow and to communicate. And perhaps start a pilot and then scale up.
Thank you. That could be a morning on its own, really, couldn't it? Just this whole... That's really interesting. Just one question, Dorothy.
Thank you. First question is, but maybe this has to be defined later. I'm one of the over 20 authors of the worksheet, fact sheet working group number 1, and it has been sent around and feedback, etc. Now everybody can write and change it, or, I mean, how? And it links to my second question. What is about how is the quality control ensured? For instance, if we want to talk about standardization, what is sustainable sanitation, what is a septic tank, what is sewage, what is etc., etc. Thank you.
Absolutely right. Good question. It's part of the third bullet. The real wiki thought is that it's a bottom-up. It's a bottom-up approach. So if a wiki is open and anybody is able to edit, then theoretically people could change each other pages. Naturally, if we are working in a working group, you're jointly working in the sandbox on a publication, and let's say a fact sheet is transformed into a wiki page, the working group itself must discuss and check the wiki page. Somebody will edit that, and naturally other colleagues will review that. But it must be a joint responsibility. And the wiki doesn't have a central managing board controlling all input and edits. That's not the way a wiki works. But naturally, you have to find a logical solutions to that. And I assume that for each individual working group, they'll be different.
Okay. Would you like to have a private conversation? Because, if you'd like to just go and have a toilet break, get something to drink, and then come straight back, and then Arno's going to do his presentation. But thank you very much, Dan. I thought that was really interesting. Thank you.
So the other side of knowledge management is interaction and discussion. And we're all human beings, and we all have that need to be acknowledged and to say what is on our minds. So the discussion forum is that, if you like. The first I've heard of was Hans' sandbox. I thought that was a good analogy to what we do here in the discussion forum is actually do the sandbox live. And sometimes we throw things on each other, and other times we pat each other on the back. But this is where you learn, and it's a really exciting part of SuSanA. It was initiated in mid-2011, but there's a bit of a history to that, to this discussion forum, in that we at SCI we ran a Yahoo-based one right from the beginning of when we started EcoSanRes. So there's kind of a transition and a lot of history, if you like, around the interactions on this topic. And I would say that the SuSanA discussion forum is a really fantastic, high potential place to very quickly find out what's going on and let people know what you're doing. The scope of all these topics are broken down into different items here: hygiene, health and schools, sanitation systems, science and technology, agriculture reuse. There's a miscellaneous topic. There's announcements, and then there's the working groups. That I will leave to the end because I think that'll lead into the next session of the meeting. The forum, the discussion forum, has certain different functions, and so what I'll be doing is like giving you just an overview of those main subject areas and the topics. We won't have really much time for doing demonstration, but the way of using the forum, but there is, if you like, a seamless connection between the forum and the library. So it's and you heard from Trevor that it would be possible then to actually take care of an area on the website and actually then refer back to the discussion as well. You will, if you haven't used the forum yet, you will see that you can get summary digests, and they're sent to you by email. They can be done at different frequencies, depending on what your needs are. You can get live updates if you're on a thread that you are cultivating yourself or you're involved with. You will get them immediately. So you can be online and up to date whenever you feel that. And then there's a mobile version, which we put that in just last year. That's what it looks like when you open it. That's the front door. The front door will be, if you like, going through some small manipulations and improvements and changes as we get feedback from users. There'll be a new survey in the next few weeks going out to all 3,952, I think, users. And you can see the left side, it's the logotype of the forum, and then there's the different categories as you go across the ones I just named. The mobile version, and that was, I just did that yesterday on the iPhone. I think it looks quite similar on the Android as well. And the menu looks a little slightly different from the... and you can drill all the way down, and it gives you the performance of the web-based system as well. So as I mentioned, 3,952, the total number of registered users, and they are going up. Pretty well 45 degree, maybe it's a 40-degree angle, something like that. And the number of total subjects, we're nearing 2,000. So there'll be some interesting developments as we get with the new website, I think, and with the ACVO collaboration. There is a little bit of a bump you can see around February 2013. That's when the Gates contribution of new grantees and participation took place. And that's another way of looking at it. And you can get these statistics just by clicking on stats in the menus. You can see the page views, and they go up and down depending on what people are up to, seasonal, weekly, and then the number of visits. So it's a growing activity. This was another piece of statistics, and this is basically just to show that the forum is and the library; those are the most active parts of the SuSanA system of websites. There will be, as I said, surveys, and there was one of the Gates Foundation grantees. About 85 of those were involved, and that resulted in actually an extension of the initial contract that we had. And there's going to be this larger survey soon to be sent out to all the members of the forum. A little bit about the Gates Foundation interest in this. Funding was received by SEI, Stella, and SECON. Together we won a bid, and it was interesting to work with the foundation. Originally it was a contract to do consulting for them, to bring their innovative sanitation projects into the public forum to be discussed. And then they discovered that they couldn't do that as a consulting contract because then they would own the results. And in order to keep the intellectual property public, it was turned into a grant. So we were treated like just all the other grantees. And as I say, it was actually continued. And we had 85 of these projects to bring from a closed sanitation network that the foundation actually had set up to the more public SuSanA forum. And a special category was set up so people could click on it, the Science and Technology Innovation category. Also resulted in a number of webinars, I think about 7 or 8 of those, and those are all on the YouTube channel. You can find them on the SuSanA website. So the next step now with the second phase is to integrate all the water sanitation hygiene projects that the foundation is sponsoring right across the forum, and not to have them in one spot, and also to integrate them amongst the community. So I thought I would just leave you with some ideas about how the forum can be used for the working groups. Right now, this is what happens when you click on the button working groups. And you can see each one of these is listed, and I think it complements a little bit what Hans just was showing on his last slide too. Of course, you can open up each working group and then create a thread, a topic, a discussion. But I'm just thinking that the interesting thing is that you're going live on it. It's not just the group itself, but it also can be seen on the internet. So you get all sorts of exposure and input And so your work maybe of 20 people could be actually seen by several hundred. The working groups are no longer little groups anymore. Back in 2007 they were small, but now they are hundreds of members. There are networks, and I would say the idea of knowledge management is really to try to keep that size, but also to try to keep the quality of the interactions going. So the forum will be a useful tool. You will be able to have these groups exchanging information. You won't have to hold the meetings always on a regular basis or irregular basis. And you'll be able to have this continuous exchange going on back and forth. And if you want, if you're running a working group, you can share these discussions. You can also occasionally hold a meeting on Skype. We can also help in running them on Adobe Connect if you want to have a little bit more sophistication. And things like when publications are produced, or when you're going to a conference, or if you just feel like letting 35 people know that you publish something, you want to share it. Other things like tenders and calls for proposals, looking for partners. So I think these are the things that you might want to just discuss today. You wouldn't, maybe not so much always on technical things about the topic, but also how you're going to set up the working group, the so-called working group network. So on that basis, I think let you then take off to the next step.
Thank you. Any questions? Yep.
Hi, thanks, Anna. It was great to sort of see generally how it all works, and I think we're aware of the fact that it's a very powerful forum, an alliance of a lot of people and a lot of thought. I was just a bit surprised yesterday when I talked to the organisers to find that it isn't actually sort of registered as any particular organisation. And I just thought that was, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'd like to know what other people think, but I just thought that, considering all us NGOs who've, lent our logos there, we've all had to be registered where we work to receive public funds. And also the governance system. I'd like to know a little bit more, like, is SEI at the top of it, or GIZ, or, who runs the thing? Or is it just a sort of modular thing, which is, it's incredibly, loose forum, or have you got any plans to make it more structured?
I think both the founding organizations were SEI and GTZ, then that became GIZ. I think Arna might want to answer that just as easy as I would like to. There is a core group. The core group is not like a board that is that has a charter or anything like that. We do have very well-defined terms of reference, if you like, for what SuSanA does do and what it doesn't do. I think its strength is the fact that it isn't a top-down organization, that it's open. So in terms of partnering, the 230-odd partners, some of them are small NGOs, others are as big as FAO, UNICEF, development banks. So from that point of view, it's exploratory. I don't like the word loose because I think it is actually a tight organization in terms of how it communicates. And so we don't see the need to legalize it because originally my idea for this was a place to do your work. So if you're funded, you can get added value by working within the SuSanA family of organizations. And maybe Orna has something he would like to say.
Yes, you mentioned that yesterday, and I think I did different things for 5 years. When I left, I think it was less partners of SuSanA. Maybe then we were proud to be 50 or 80 or something like that. And now when I come back, it's 230. And as well, something new is that there are 4,000 members. Earlier we said we don't have members because membership is something where you have a legal contract. Now we have members, but we don't have members with a contract, but members of virtual groups. So, and until I left, in each SuSanA meeting, we had a sort of strategy meeting, the way forward, and always it came up, should we be more formalized, should we stay a loose network? I remember from those days that I, as well with the GIZ experts on that, I was sort of confirming, is our governance structure okay? Is it fine? Is it transparent? Is it okay in that sense? That was good. Even myself, now looking at it, definitely at the next SuSanA meeting, we'll revisit that, and I will as well ask in my organization the experts, is that all okay? And share that with the core group. Yeah.
So perhaps just to add on, because I deal with it on a daily basis, and I get this question a lot. Basically, I mean, currently it's based on partner contribution. Can you hear, Juliet? It's based on partner contribution. So every partner is free to contribute what they can. And some of the larger partners are able to contribute more, and that's great. And that's the essence of it at the moment, to put it in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Arno, as always. Working group meeting organisers or leads present the working group meeting's agenda. You've got 3 minutes each, and I'm going to be really strict. I've been told to be really strict, actually, because I'd just let you talk forever. So I've got my phone out this time, and you're going to be timed. You'll hear the little beeping, and then you'll know that's 2 minutes, and you've got 3 minutes. So I'd like to start with Dorothee. You're losing time already.
Easy. I don't need 3 minutes. We're going to have 2 sessions. The first one is sharing from the network, from the working group. We will have some short presentation on recent developments of training materials. You are going to present the sustainable water supply and sanitation master course, I think. We will have the e-companion presented. We will have recent SSWM activities and an update from AskNet. The second part, which is more interesting, we're going to ask ourselves what are the key areas for action in order to strengthen sustainable sanitation within the sector through capacity development. And I think we have some very crucial questions to ask ourselves: how to bring down the knowledge to the local level, how can we use the new opportunities of the web, etc., etc. Join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's a minute. Very good. Doesn't mean the next person's going to get more time, though. WG3. Now, that's Stefan, I think, said that he was going to take a lead here. Is Stefan Reuter?
Group number 3.
Yes.
Okay, please. Yep. The microphone. I will read something. Okay. No, that's fine. I'm happy to meet with Catherine and everybody else who's willing to work on working group 3, and we would like to leverage expertise across networks, linking SuSanA with the water and wastewater companies for climate mitigation project, elaborating something which we would like also to take forward to Lisbon, and that's basically it. No.
Okay.
Working group number 6, cities. Peter and me will think SFDs and cities, how can it work? And who is coming will be asked, what do you think about it?
Very good. I like these. Claudia.
So thank you. That is a very strong competition, yeah. So yes. No. So the name of the working group is Community, Rural and Schools with Gender and Social Aspects. That is a very strange name. But I think if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDG, and the goals and targets just defined now, most of the themes are really covered in this group. So just to be aware of that. So how the session will be structured, we are going to have 2 parts. So one part is mainly on gender aspects and with a focus on MHN. I'm very happy that Petra Kola from EAWAG, jointly with Bern University, is here and will present what she's going to do within a project and want to get feedback from you also. The second part will then be about school sanitation. I'm very happy to launch this new publication, and I'm also happy that a few of the partners are here who are going to present shortly why this story is in this publication and why it has been selected, and I'm looking forward to launch next year maybe a second one. And then finally we will also discuss about strategies, if we still have time, and how to go forward and so on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Katja?
Great. So I'm with Working Group 9, which is Sanitation as a Business and Public Awareness. Similar to the structure of a lot of the other working group sessions, the first half is going to be dedicated to sharing of information on what the partners have been currently doing. So we're going to get an update on the World Toilet Day campaign and the recent BOP convention in Singapore from the World Toilet Organization to start. I will also share about the unclogging sanitation workshop that was held in February of this year and some recent publications that have come out since then. And then we'll also have a presentation on sanitation business training opportunities in different countries going on right now. After that, we're going to talk about actions and next steps and where we see the working group going. So we'd love to have your participation and ideas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Leif.
I'll use the rest of the time.
The clock's ticking, you know.
Then we will have a very efficient working group meeting. Actually, it might be because it's most of you are dirty water people, but this is just about how to keep the clean water clean. So typical. Well, basically, you will be asked what you think about it. It's the same as in Arne's group. But the key activity that we currently have is that we have we are developing with the work group a kind of siting checklist for the siting of sanitation systems with these 7 criteria. It's basically a capacity development activity, so we draw a number of pictures, nice pictures with criteria like covers and barriers, and that it's wiser to build your latrine downstream of your well. So it's actually good and this is something I would like to give to the other working groups in case I'm not present later on. If you can map and have a good idea where's the water supply of this city, and not just only where the latrines, might be good. So, of course, slope and surface drainage and flooding. So I'd like actually to discuss this draft. Did we miss something? And is this in line also with the other working groups? And this is so why we need a little bit input from other areas. And whether we missed actually important references which are already there. And that's it, basically.
Okay, thank you very much. I assume somewhere there must be the rooms that the different working groups are meeting. Is there a list somewhere?
No, I think... No, the idea there was you've seen all the working group leads, so you know what they look like, and you know what they're going to talk about, or a rough idea, and follow them to rooms. There's rooms all around here. They're all empty. Madeline says we can use all of them, any of them. They're all comfortable, so pick one that fits how many people you have standing around the lead. Simple as that. And then, please, so now it's also the coffee break. So coffee break and go on to the rooms.
We have, wait before you leave now. Please, we have at least 4 people standing out there, some very known, young professionals. Please come in. Please join us in here, because we want you to introduce yourself before we go out to the working group. And we have newcomers. I let Denise start. So please present yourself, the ones who are not presented, so you know who has joined us.
Hello, my name is Denise Silvetti, and I'm a master student at the Urban and Regional Planning program at Stockholm University.
Hello, everyone. My name is Martina Ne. Towards the camera, okay. I'm from People here in Stockholm, so I will be at the school sanitation workshop, presenting some of our work in the schools in Kenya. Very nice to meet you all.
Okay, Maria Bernson, also from People. We're whole crowd here from People. I'm working with product development, but also in the field with People implementing. So I will be joining the capacity development group.
Good morning, everybody. I'm the young professional, as Madeleine has said. She took a nice picture. Okay, my name is Elisabeth. Okay, I'm working since 1982 in biogas for sanitation, school sanitation, rural sanitation, urban sanitation, propo sanitation, sanitation marketing, social marketing, whatever you want.
Okay, yeah, hello. I'm also here, Heinz-Peter Mang. There's a camera. I'm also here. So I want to...
New faces? Come up here, Heinz-Peter, come up here.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Godwin Chinemerem. I work with Safe Water and Sanitation Embassy in Nigeria. We're into wash in school projects and community programs. Thank you.
Yeah, no, there are more.
Now you. Now you can. Have you done yours?
Yes.
Yeah.
But there are new faces
Who else? Who else has not introduced themselves?
Hi, my name is Caroline Saul. I'm a PhD student studying business innovation in water and sanitation at IABAG.
Is that everyone?
I didn't realize there's an introductory session yesterday. My name's Tony Coleman, former businessman, former politician, recent PhD in water and sanitation in Southern Africa, University of East Anglia, Tyndall Centre, Columbia Water Centre, and University of Cape Town.
Hi, we were introduced yesterday. I don't know if that still stands. My name's Juliet Waterkin. From Africa Ahead, heading up in South Africa.
Yeah, we were here yesterday, but Anthony Waterkine, also from Africa Ahead, in Cape Town.
Hello, everyone. I know most of you, but again, for people who was not in the World Water Week, I'm Grover Mamani. I'm from Waste in the Netherlands. Actually, we're working in the work group number 8. We in the week we already had the meeting with this group. It was very good, and hopefully I will join the group 9. I think for this session. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Maria Sagen from Norway, engineering student focusing on urban sanitation. So I'm going to join the city group. And yeah, so that's it. But I'm also involved with International Water Week in Amsterdam and something called Water Youth Network. And I think a lot of these things can feed into that. Yeah.
Is that everyone? Well, thank you very much. Now, we've almost caught up with time. So if you want to have a tea or coffee or something to eat, will you get that? Find the person who's going to be leading your working group and take your drinks, etc., with you so that we can start as soon as possible to be back for 1 o'clock for the group photo. That's important. If you're not in the group photo, Trevor will be after you.